Yeah. Red eye? Okay, it's 9 o'clock and it's the time on our schedule for our weekly business meeting. If you'll stand with me, Pastor Ken Lawrence will do the invitation.
Father, we thank you for a new day in an unusual time. We thank you that you are giving us guidance and direction as individuals and as citizens together in our county. We pray for your blessing today upon these three commissioners as they deliberate and seek to find direction for the future of our people. And for those who have gathered here to listen and to be informed and to perhaps speak into situations, we ask for wisdom there as well. Bless us as we deliberate and share today. In Jesus' name.
Amen. Thanks, Ken. And if you follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move to adopt the order of agenda as presented.
Well, by golly, I'll just second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a by golly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Public comment. We have Maureen first.
I'm all right.
Maureen Patterson for the record. So if a child steals a cookie from the cookie jar against house rules and is caught, but he says, but I did it before a couple times, does it make it right? So why does a county have zoning if it's not going to be enforced? Planning department helps conserve and protect open land users and prevents urban versus agricultural land use conflicts. This rezone application that Dom Construction is applying for would definitely be in conflict with public interest and detrimental to the public welfare, as can be shown with over 550 signatures to the petition objecting to allowing a change in zoning and comprehension plan map amendment. And I have another page to submit. This zone change would also deprive adjoining owners in Chippendale subdivision of enjoyment of their property, as can be seen by the petition and their testimonies on March 10th. As Bonner County Planning Department has stated, the zone change would diminish the rural character and natural resources of the area, including the prime farmland soils. There's also environmental hazards, as the Spirit Lake Fire District warned. There's been 10% increase in vehicle crashes. Emergency response has been hampered due to the current traffic load. Let's see. And concerns were voiced frequently, as well as the Spirit Lake Fire District, of existing problems in safety, congestion, and maintenance of the road. Thus, allowing an amendment to the comprehension plan would not be appropriate. The value of surrounding property can be permanently adversely altered and diminished for the rural character, since this is not similar density and compatible use. Here are some examples. Oh, and also create.
Maybe Doug can pick it up. Or Doug, you want to give her your time?
Yeah.
Well, Doug's going to be on.
Yep.
And create potential conflicts. Here are some examples of potential conflicts where the close proximity of residences and farms can lead to disputes. Neighboring residential property owners may complain that noise and odor coming from neighboring farm operations are a nuisance and file a private nuisance lawsuit. Here are some examples around our state supporting prime agricultural land. In another county, they also insisted agricultural land would become one of the most precious natural resources in the future, largely because of the effect of arable soil on the climate. And in our up north, our boundary county, their prime agriculture states a minimum parcel size of not less than 10 acres should be imposed to preserve aesthetic appeal and to contribute to the rural qualities esteemed in this area and restrict additional development. Please listen to the voices of over 550 Bonner County residents. Thank you. And should I give this to Jesse?
Okay, so actually, Doug, you've got 2 minutes. If you want to get up and say something.
Is there going to be public comment allowed tomorrow? No, Doug Patterson for the record. Again,
There'll be some on the proposed alteration. That's it.
okay.
We've already taken public comment on the main file, so because there was an option to go to a mix of 5 and 10, we'll allow public comment on that.
Okay. Engineer Grain passed another resolution against dropping that down from the 10 acres in ag land. And I will give it over to the secretary. Thanks.
Great. Thanks, Doug. Anyone else want to make a statement?
Kevin Moore for the record. I was just hoping that you could give me a little more understanding about the waste management that you guys are steadily trying to work to redoing 5 million, 8 million.
This is a public comment period. It's not a
I see. All
dialogue period, really.
right.
So if you have a comment about it, we'd love to hear it. But if not, I would direct you to Bob Howard. after the
Okay.
meeting.
Well, I guess my only comment is that hopefully my misunderstanding or not understanding at all is that this is more community driven, that the community will have a voting about how that proceeds.
Yeah, but I will tell you this, there is no financial impact to the voters. It's a zero financial impact. Because it's already being paid for in fees. We increased the fees last year. Okay. Anyone else like to speak? Seeing none, let's move on.
All right, Mr. Chairman, based on the information before us, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
And I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any question or comment? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Oh, let's see, elections, Clarissa.
Morning, everyone. Clarissa Coster, elections for the record. Commissioners, before you is a request to approve the polling places for the 2021 election year. There are a few changes. East Priest Lake and West Priest Lake will now be done at the Priest River Event Center.
You
Thank
mean
you.
Priest River, probably. East Priest River.
East Priest, sorry, yes. East Priest River and West Priest River will both be at the Priest River Event Center. And then also the city of Sandpoint notified us that because they're doing some remodeling at the city hall, that we can no longer use the community center where Beach has usually been housed. So it's moving to the First Lutheran Church along with Washington.
Mr. Chairman, based on the information before us, I move to approve resolution 2021-38, designating suitable polling places for each of the precincts for the 2021 election year and beyond.
I would second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any question or comment? Maureen?
Could it be repeated, Beach and?
Beach is moving to the First Lutheran Church where Washington Precinct is also at, over here on Olive. Mhm.
Any other question or comment? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Thanks, Clarissa. Where did Milton go? He's got a.
The order's in effect.
Well, we'll just have to take it up. Who wants to read it?
I
Jeff,
could.
would you mind doing it?
Yep, sure. The Idaho Club Estates is a residential planned unit development consisting of 6 residential lots with open space located near Trestle Creek on Highway 200. The final plat was approved with the placement of surety bond on June 26, 2019. The improvement surety was for the cost plus 50% of developing the internal road wastewater treatment facility and land application, a fire suppression system, a stormwater control measure in a bonded amount of $709,800. This resolution releases 50% of the bond for the improvements required for the upgrades per the surety agreement for the Idaho Club Estate subdivision. Sewell and Associates has provided engineer review of the improvements, certifying the completion of the installation of this project. Staff has reviewed these documents and received a letter of review from Spencer Ferguson, County PE. Engineering Department stating the surety agreement conditions have been completed. Yeah,
Alright, based on the information before us, I move to approve resolution number 2021-39, releasing 50% of the bond from Idaho Club Estates, file number S1930-17.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion to second. Any question or comment? By the way, I like the yeah at the end. It's better than
Well,
the end.
I was looking at all
Oh, to
this
read
other
the-
stuff thinking, should I read any of that? And I said, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, nope.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Okay, go ahead, Kevin.
So Kevin, more for the record. So whose district is this in?
It's in my district.
So you were on top of this or whatever this,
Yeah, this has been an ongoing
okay?
project.
So they got their own septic
Started
system
before we came on.
and all this. And
Septic wells, the whole shoot match. They have a couple of high volume wells out there as well.
so this isn't something new starting, then we're kind of on the end of this whole scenario. Okay.
We just want to make sure there's a bond securing the completion of the infrastructure, so it doesn't fall back on the county residents. So
So you're on top of this or whatever, that this is everything's copacetic as far as you're concerned so
Yep.
far.
good development. Any other question or comment? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. EMS, Chief Lindsay.
Be sure and end with a yeah.
Yeah,
That way we know.
that way we know you're done.
New thing.
Oh, boy.
Chief Lindsay, for the record, Bonner County EMS desires to remount one F-450 4x4 ambulance. Bonner County intends to contract with Braun Northwest Incorporated for the sole source procurement of remounting this ambulance and would like permission to publish notice to the effect 14 days prior to the procurement. The sole source procurement is in accordance with Idaho Code 67-2808 and a couple other letters to a double I.
Subparagraph 2A. Yeah.
Yep. The chosen platform for remounting the ambulance with Braun Northwest Incorporated is they are the original manufacturer of this ambulance, and the factory warranty will be reset on this ambulance once the work has been completed. The amount of the purchase for remounting one ambulance is approximately $200,000.
All right.
That includes the truck chassis, right?
Includes everything. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, based on the information before us, I move to approve resolution 2021-40 to allow Bonner County EMS to advertise for sole source procurement.
No, second that.
Okay, we have a motion to second. Any question or comment? Kevin?
Kevin Moore for the record. So I want to say last week, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, we were putting an old box on another,
That's what this
Same
is.
thing.
this is it.
Yeah, by law, we have to, if we're going to sole source, which we want to because of they're the original provider, we have to advertise that we're going to sole source.
We were moving money to make it happen.
Okay. And we're around $200,000.
Yes, sir. Any other question or comment? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, motion passes. Thank you,
Thanks,
Chief.
sir.
Road and Bridge, Mr. Clapp.
Dun, dun, dun.
Morning.
Steve Platt, Road and Bridge Director, for the record. First item I have for you are the approval of, this is the grant that we have applied for and received to pave the railroad crossings to keep our graders off the railroad tracks as they're trying to maintain these roads. These require permits from the railroads to work in their right of ways. These are, we have the ones from the Union Pacific Railroad did not require signatures. There are 10 agreements with Burlington Northern, and there are 2 copies for each of those 10 agreements. It is simply boilerplate that says, we assume all liability, that the railroad is in every way held harmless, but we are able to pave up to they're not to the tracks themselves, but to their framework that's set there by the tracks.
Steve, that's you.
It's pretty short for Mr. Platt.
I'm
Oh,
glad
just
you-
wait.
I'm glad you've got it.
Yeah, mine was in the bottom.
These 10 roadway surfacing agreements with BNSF for the railroad crossing.
Actually,
In our Sandpoint Bonner County project, and authorize the chairman to sign this administratively. You got a couple of them out of order there.
Yeah. I'll second that motion.
I want to make sure that is the correct one. Okay.
They were in the back.
Okay, we have a motion to second. Any question or comment? Other than Steve, you figured out a new way with, how many signatures are on this? Like 100? Instead of long motions, he's switching to
I'm going with short motions, but lots of signing.
lots of signing. I feel like I'm buying a house. Go ahead, Kevin.
Kevin Moore for the record. So this is only where we have asphalt or a hard surface coming up to a railroad tracks. This isn't where you have gravel.
These are actually, what we're doing is going in and paving aprons, putting asphalt aprons on all the gravel crossings, because what we now have been living with for years are grader operators going on these gravel roads, but they have to actually get on the tracks. And over the course of the years, we've had several quite close calls with several of these crossings where trains come around the corner and the grader has a hard time getting off as the train approaches. So this will pave the gravel road aprons into the railroad tracks.
So they're not blading all the way up to the tracks. We like our operators and we also like our graders.
Yeah, so I guess it's just interesting to me that the railroad would be okay coming on board or whatever with you guys doing the aprons coming up to their railroad tracks, but I guess that's what these agreements are all about.
Correct.
Yep.
Yes, and from the railroad perspective, it's also, they really have no desire to hit a grader.
Right.
So it's in everybody's best interest to keep the graders back 50 feet from the tracks.
I think it's a rule they try not to hit anything.
Yeah, it's a great thing, actually.
Yeah.
Doug Patterson for the record. I notice this is only BNSF, the other railroad system. You're not trying to do this with?
No, we are, Doug. We're, Union Pacific did not require a board signature on the agreements. They issued the agreements, but it does not, it's not a two-party agreement, doesn't have, Burlington Northern requires a board signature, then goes down, they sign it, they issue the agreement. Union Pacific issued the agreement without a board signature, just they issued the agreement straight to us.
Thank you very much. I would also mention that we get huge numbers of potholes in either sides of these railroads because people stop and start and accelerate, and
Especially when the roads are break up, they don't drive basically.
snow, all of that. They just huge problems.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Doug. Anyone else like to speak? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Go ahead, Steve.
Second item I have for you is a request to advertise for the Heath Lake closure project. This is the construction that's necessary for a new intersection with Algoma Spur and for the Hammerhead. That will be the turnaround at the railroad tracks near the highway and for the obliteration of the existing intersection with the highway.
Okay, thanks, Steve.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the advertisement for bids for the construction of the Heath Lake Railroad closure, realignment, and Hammerhead turnaround.
I would second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any question or comment?
Kevin Moore for the record. So whose district is this in?
Mine.
Steve's.
So you're on top of what all's happening here then too, right?
I is indeed.
Yeah, we've been working on
We all-
this.
yeah.
All three of us are on this one. We've been working on this. Actually, all three of us are always on every topic, regardless of what district it's in. But we've been working on this for a few years because BNSF flat out wanted to get rid of that crossing. So we were able to negotiate with them to allow us to create a hammerhead and to improve the intersection where Heath Lake Road hits Algoma Spur Road, because you've got a issue with Heath Lake, with the Algoma Spur Road, where the traffic comes up from down a hill and you can't necessarily see it very well. So they've been very workable. Plus, we got some help from one of the local landowners there that basically allowed us to take some of their land, make that a better, safer intersection. Any other question or comment? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Emergency management, Bob Howard. Thanks, Steve.
Morning, Commissioners. Bob Howard for the record, Director of Emergency Management. So this memorandum of understanding between Bonner County and the Idaho Department of Lands is for a grant award in the amount of $240,000 for hazardous fuels treatment associated with the bonfire program. The funds identified will be used for the Hood Valley Fuel Breaks project in the area southwest of Bonner County, southwest of Sandpoint in Bonner County, with a cost share of $24,000, and that will be obtained through landowner participation, utility clearing contributions, and community meeting attendance, and public education.
Thanks, Bob.
Right, I move county approve the memorandum of understanding grant number 20WFM-Bonner in the amount of $240,000 and allow the chair to sign.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any question or comment?
Kevin Moore for the record, and so I appreciate that Mr. Bradshaw repeated the numbers there because, yeah, 240,000 and then ours is a 24,000. And so is this typical what happens every year or whatever, that we get this amount of money? And do you typically use that each year? That
Yes.
Yeah, about the same time of the year, every year, we have this come out.
We've actually increased it. We're gonna do more work, so.
Any other question or comment? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye, motion passes. Thank you, Bob. Recreation, Nate.
All right, Nate Demmons for the record. So the first item, a test rate consideration is the Garfield Bay Campground Grant Reimbursement number 1, whereas $13,732.01 is being requested from the state of Idaho from the grant total of $37,000. This grant is being used for campground improvements, including temp pads, expanding sites, leveling sites, and adding splash pads at the hose bibs. By signing reimbursement number 1, Bonner County will be reimbursed $13,732.01 through Idaho Parks and Recreational Vehicles Grant Program.
Mr. Chairman, based on the information before us, I move that the county approve and sign the grant request for the reimbursement of Garfield Bay Campground Grant RV 21-1-09-2. By signing, the Bonner County will be reimbursed $13,732.01 from Idaho Parks and Recreation Vehicles Grant Program.
Second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any question or comment?
1 cent. huh,
Kevin, go
Nate?
ahead.
Yeah,
1
Yeah, 1
cent.
cent. Gotta get that
Right,
right.
exact. to the T.
Kevin Moore for the record. So yeah, you spit the stuff out there pretty fast and that's okay. But it sounded like you said there is a total in this grant of 37,000
Yep.
and that we're pulling 13,000 out of that.
Yeah, so it's just one reimbursement. We're still working on it. And we just actually got an extension to work on it next year too, to make sure that we get it, the rest of the money. So we still have some work that we're doing out there.
It's an installment, kind of like a payment plan.
So
So,
the work's done, they pay,
Right.
we can tap into that.
Stages.
so this year we got a total of 37,000 and you're pulling certain amounts of that as we go along, hoping to use up the 37,000 somewhere along the way this year.
That's correct.
And so is this 37,000 typically what we get in these grants or?
It just depends. It depends on what kind of work we're doing and what.
Project related.
what we need. Yeah. Yeah.
If it's a bigger project, it'll be more. If it's a smaller project, it'll be less.
Well, that's interesting from the public, or at least from Kevin's public perspective, then you get to ask for how much, however much you want each year, or whatever, depending on how many projects you think you can put in alignment.
Yeah, somewhat. I mean, you got to put in consideration that the grant only has a certain amount of money and what kind of project and how much time you put into that project to actually be able to. get
Well, I
it
guess
done.
that's where I'm trying to come into, as per how much how did you just say that? Of how much money you feel you can tap into. I guess the bank account out there in the grant is unlimited. You don't know what the upper limit is. So you ask for how much ever you can or whatever to see if they approve it.
I'll ask whatever we can do to get the project done. But you know, it's not unlimited. There's definitely a cap.
Yeah,
And
there's
if
a-
you
there's
ask
a
too
limit on it.
much, if you ask too much, then there's a chance you won't get the grant. So
Well, I guess
we
that's
gotta
the-
kind of play that.
That's what I'm trying to understand from a citizen's point of view. It sounds like an interesting dance as per trying to, how many projects are we going to do this year to see how much money we can pull in a grant? You never know until you apply for it.
And there's also other entities that apply for it as well. So they have a limited amount of money in the grant. And
It's
so-
competitive grant.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean, it's
competitive
not
grant.
like you just get, this is a continuation. I mean, it isn't a continuation. It is this for this one, but
For this one.
generally speaking, you know, we do a project and we probably have a year or two, and then we identify some other things we need to get done and we apply for a grant and see if we get it.
Well, I guess it's steadily.
Geez, you're thinking we're in some sort of a conspiracy here, Kevin. I mean, really, it's a
Over
grant.
37,000.
It's really quite simple.
Well, I didn't, you brought up the word conspiracy, not me, so I appreciate that.
Whoops.
It's,
Bring that word up.
yeah,
If you ask for more than what you can get completed that year, you stand a chance of not getting anything.
yeah. So that's what I'm saying. That's
So
an
you
interesting
look at it-
dance that we get to
you look
do.
at it for each project and hope you get it.
Okay, anyone else have a question or comment? You sure? Okay, seeing
right.
none. All those in favor say aye. Aye, motion passes.
Okay, we'll see how this
Okay,
one
number
goes
2.
here. Okay. Attached is the final contract to accept a Resource Advisory Committee, also known as RAC funds through the Forest Service for winter trail maintenance in Bonner County. Bonner County was awarded $15,000 for grooming maintenance, snowmobile sticker enforcement, and snowmobile education. By signing the contract, Bonner County accepts the $15,000 to be paid for the winter season of 2021 and 2022. State sticker fees collected for this season will be used as a 20% match for the project.
Okay, thanks, Nate.
All right, based on the information before us, I move to approve and sign the winter trail maintenance contract between Bonner County and the Forest Service in the amount of $15,000 with a 20% match. State snowmobile sticker fees will be used as match for the project.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any question or comment?
You have more for the record.
Go ahead, Tim.
You went a little too fast for me with the RAC Resource Administration.
Resource Advisory Committee.
Thank you.
So
Hey, Maureen, go ahead.
That was my question.
Okay. Alrighty, any other question or comment? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thanks, Nate.
thank you.
And it is 9:26, and we'll go ahead and take a 5-minute break and then return for executive session.